Denali National Park, finally crossing this one off the bucket list. In this episode, we share our arrival and first look around, but our adventure hits an early snag when an unexpected mechanical problem keeps things interesting. Welcome to part 14 of our epic Alaskan RV adventure, where we camp and explore Denali National Park, the Great One. We depart our Boondockers Welcome host in Florence Lake, head north on the park's highway, and end up in Riley Creek Campground. Well, hi everyone. This is the morning we've been waiting for. Today, we're headed to Denali National Park. But before we get going, we have to deal with this slide that's been making sounds recently. So I'm giving the rails a good cleaning, hoping it helps. This is not the trip to have RV issues on. Well, now let's complete our routine disembarkation. We'll miss this Boondockers Welcome spot, hosted by Ann and Dave. It was a perfect fit for us, and we highly recommend. But we are very excited to get to Denali also. And before you know it, we're driving on the park's highway. This highway runs north from Anchorage up to Denali and eventually Fairbanks. Today is overcast and threatens some rain, but the drive up the highway is beautiful. On our drive north, we're pulling into the South Denali View area for a stop. This is a well-known viewpoint and recreation area, and it also has a few first-come, first-served camp spots. It's important to know this campground is in Denali State Park, separate from the National Park just up the road. We don't plan to stay long right now. We mainly just want to see what this place is like. People say this spot often has one of the best views of Denali, maybe with better odds of seeing the whole mountain. You know, since it's so often wrapped in clouds. But of course, today, it's completely overcast. It does look like they have some nice spots for parking longer RVs. Well, given the weather, we're just going to keep on driving. Now the forest around us starts to change noticeably. The trees that were tall and dense earlier are really thinning out, and they're becoming quite small too. We're honestly not sure why that happens. Drop us a comment if you know, please. As we get closer to our turnoff, the highway runs right alongside the wide, braided Nenana River here. And just like that, we're in Denali National Park and Preserve. Okay, we have to turn left just up ahead here, onto the Denali Park Road. Well, there's no mistaking where we are now. We just have to find the campground check-in building. And it's right ahead on the left. Okay, the sign points left for our campground loop, but we actually need to head right first for registration. This looks like the right place, and a gentle reminder, no petting the moose. This mercantile building is where they handle all the campground registration. The hours are really convenient, 7 in the morning right through 11 at night. Apparently, though if you do arrive after hours, the bus depot nearby serves as the backup check-in location. They have this convenient board that tracks current campground availability park-wide. You quickly see open versus full sites. Really handy info, especially if you're hoping to find a last-minute spot. Well, that was easy. Next up, water fill station, conveniently located right here near check-in. We're skipping the dump side, but definitely need a full tank of fresh water for our 5-night stay. Now we're heading into Riley Creek Campground, specifically into the Bear Loop to find our spot. The system here is a bit different. You don't reserve a specific site number ahead of time. Instead, you reserve a type of site, usually based on size, A, B, or C, with A sites being the largest. We were assigned to the Bear Loop, so we just pick any empty site labeled with our reserved type A. We probably could have fit into a B site, but opting for the A just ensures there's no question. Now, even though we might see some open A sites right away, we're not picking one just yet. Our plan is to drive the whole Bear Loop first and check out all the available options. Then, once we've seen them all, we'll circle back around and pull into our favorite spot. We're passing some nice looking sites on the first lap, but a key factor is finding one with a really clear open sky view. That's pretty important for our solar panels to get good sun, and also for Starlink to connect. Alright, after scouting the loop, I think we found our winner. Site A19 looks like it's going to be our best option here in the Bear Loop. It's a nice private spot too, which seems pretty typical for most of the sites here. And it's very wide. We'll have no problem parking side by side with the trailer if we want. Checking out the site setup here. The table and fire ring are positioned behind the pad. That leaves plenty of room up front for the rig, making it easy to get comfortable. Yeah, first impressions are great. We're really liking this campground so far. If you'd like a really immersive look at Riley Creek Campground, we're going to link our 360-degree virtual tour down in the video description below. Be sure to check that out for a more complete picture of the campground layout. Now, let's see if our slide out is going to play nice this time. That noise doesn't exactly inspire confidence, does it? But it does seem to be going out. Alright, with the RV all settled back at the campsite, our next stop is right here, the main visitor center. This place is a fantastic starting point for any park visit, full of resources. You can explore exhibits on local wildlife and plants, or catch an informative film in the theater. They also have a really impressive, large, three-dimensional map here. It definitely helps grasp the park's vast scale and what it offers. Plus, the staff here are incredibly knowledgeable and happy to help you plan your activities. They offer really valuable tips and advice for making the most of your time exploring Denali. Fast food, anyone? Alright, let's head into the Karsten's Theater here. It's time to see the park's main film, Heartbeats of Denali, a great introduction to the park's landscapes and wildlife. Right across the way from the main visitor center building is the park store. Inside you can find lots of souvenirs, books, and other park-related items. And right next to the park store is the main cafeteria here. the Merino Grill. We just ate, so we're gonna skip trying it this time, but it definitely looks like a nice spot. We're hoping to find a short hike, maybe somewhere a bit less crowded. The staff inside recommended the Mountain Vista picnic area just up the park road. They mentioned it has some nice, easy hiking trails, so that sounds like our next stop. Really enjoying how quiet it is up here at Mountain Vista compared to the visitor center. As we saw on the map back there, the main trails are the easy Mountain Vista Loop or the tough Savage Alpine Trail. Since we're aiming for a simple walk today, the Easy Loop Trail is our pick. Apparently, we're near the site of the original Savage Camp, which was housing guests right here back in the 1920s and 30s. With furnished tents, wood stoves, and catered dinners back in the 1920s, maybe Savage Camp was the original Denali glamping experience. Well, that was the perfect short walk to stretch our legs. Especially since it's quite windy today, the shorter distance felt just right. We wanted to see just how far private vehicles can drive on the Denali Park Road, and it looks like we found the limit right here at the Savage River Check Station, mile 15. This is the turnaround point for most cars and RVs during the summer season. To explore deeper into the park beyond here, you generally need to take one of the park buses. There is one main exception though, the Teclanica River Campground, located further down at mile 29. If you have a reservation there, usually requiring a minimum stay of like 3 nights, you can drive your RV or car past this point. The catch is, once you arrive at Teclanica, your vehicle must stay parked at your site. You use the bus system to explore further in. We'd really like to get an aerial view of the park, and we have an idea on just how we can do that. We just won't be in the park itself. It turns out there's a rest area right outside of the park boundaries, and we will use this to launch from. The area we're flying over now is right outside Denali Park proper. While it doesn't have one official name, some call it the park entrance area, and others know it as Glitter Gulch. Checking the map, that complex down there is actually the Denali Riverside Cabins, right on the riverbank. And located right next door, that clearing must be the Temsco helicopter base. We're keeping a sharp eye out for helicopters. Besides the helicopter tours, it looks like this is also a major hub for river rafting adventures on the Nenana. If you're looking to stay near Denali with full comforts, this area is going to be your best bet. There are lots of lodging opportunities here, and it's as close to the park entrance as you're going to get. This place is literally just about a mile from the park entrance. And if you happen to be on an Alaska cruise and think Denali is out of reach, think again. Several of the large cruise lines offer combination tour packages right to this area. They actually have their own large resorts like the ones we're seeing right here for their land tours. That's the Denali Princess Lodge right below us, for example. And good news for independent travelers. You don't have to be on a cruise. You can book these lodges directly too. That makes these lodges a good option if you're here in the RV but meeting up with friends or family who aren't. There are actually some lodges deep inside Denali offering a remote wilderness stay, but the ongoing road closure past mile 43 means you can't reach them by road currently. Access is pretty much limited to flying in right now, which sounds like a truly incredible experience, but for most visitors, RVing, tenting, or staying here near the entrance are the main options. We're looking down on a nice multi-use trail that connects the park entrance right to this commercial area. We didn't walk all the way, but it looks like a great path for biking or just strolling between the park and these businesses. It has some really nice views overlooking the river. It's worth stopping at the rest area just to stroll this section. Good morning. Today we have a special treat planned. And no, it's not breakfast. What makes it extra special is that it's completely free. And we love free. Hopping on the shuttle bus now. It takes you right from near the visitor center to the park's Sled Dog Kennels. Time to go meet some canine rangers and find out how they contribute to the park. The bus ride over is pretty quick, just a few minutes. Now, after a short orientation from the ranger, we get to go meet the dogs. Walking into the main kennel area now. Many of the dogs have their own individual shelters here. Look, some are even napping right on top. I guess the dogs out mingling like this must be pretty well mannered. We also see another set of dogs over there kept in larger fenced enclosures. Presumably those are younger ones still learning how to get along properly. One thing that really stands out is just how varied the dogs' coats are. There's everything from classic black and white to different grays and even warm caramel tones. Walking through the kennel, it's apparent most of the dogs are just lounging around right now. Makes sense, sled dogs often rest or sleep well over half the day, conserving energy for when they work. Still, I bet things get a lot more exciting and vocal around here closer to feeding time. Stepping inside this exhibit room here at the kennels now. They have lots of great posters and artifacts explaining the history of the sled dogs in Alaska, including some really unique items like this dog-pulled medical stretcher and this beautifully wood-crafted traditional basket sled they have on display. You know, getting a ride in that traditional sled looks like it'd be a blast. Maybe not quite so much fun riding in that stretcher. Now we're making our way over to the demonstration area. Quick pro tip for the sled demonstration. Aim to be near the front of the group when everyone gathers. Since it's mainly standing, getting a spot right up front makes a big difference for seeing the action clearly. There are a few seats available, usually just for visitors needing assistance. While waiting for the dogs to arrive, we are encouraged to call to them.
1, 2, 3. I think I gotta give it to these guys.
And our section 1, of course. Now, on to the demonstration.
Alrighty, can we get a round of applause for our dogs? My favorite part of my day when I get to see it. But I'm curious what things you think might help them do their job. What physical attributes might they have? He's got these really big feet that kind of help spread out his weight across snow. And they act a bit as snowshoes. So their noses don't have any hair at all. And it's important that those noses stay nice and warm. So they have something that let us know that they're the happiest federal employees you'll ever meet. But also serve as a nice scarf. So that tail is fluffy, not just because it's cute, but because it wraps around their face and it traps in air that they're breathing out and keeps them nice and warm in those cold temperatures. Behind me right here, you see the solar panel and microphone. We put these out in random spots in the park to study what sounds are going on, what it sounds like to be at the top of a mountain, what it sounds like to be next to some sled dogs running, what it sounds like when a bear chews on a microphone. All of those you can find on our website. Being out in the wilderness, being out in areas without human impact, or at least minimal human impact when it comes to sound, actually increases hearing. Your ability to hear becomes better. It lowers your blood pressure. It lowers stress, anxiety, and depression. It increases your focus. You do a lot better when you're out in nature. We have a volunteer program here during the summertime where you might see some people walking around with sled dogs, being pulled by them. And those volunteers often end up being the ones that adopt them. Because when these dogs turn 9, they're given a nice retirement. They go to families all across the US, but oftentimes those volunteers. And the main requirements are that you live somewhere cold and you live an active life. Because even after retirement, they're happy to pull. So we're going to send these dogs home. Cusco is one of our larger dogs here, and he's happy to be a wheel dog, pulling very heavy loads. He can do quite a few, but at the end of the day, he's one of our best pullers.
While you're not generally allowed to feed the dogs here, there is one they allow you to feed. Heading back for the bus now. That whole sled dog experience was really fascinating. We learned so much. Definitely put visiting the kennels on your list if you come to Denali. It's highly recommended. You know how sometimes you say something out loud and immediately jinx yourself? Yep, was just chatting about how we've had no bearing problems. Famous last words. Then, to really add insult to injury, we discover my usually reliable bottle jack isn't working either. Okay, taking stock. Thankfully, the spare tire means I have another rubber grease cap cover handy. But ugh, I just realized my grease gun didn't make the trip. Could have sworn I packed that. Guess the plan now is a hardware store run for a grease to fix this. I just hope there's one reasonably close by. Whipping up some breakfast before we start our day. It's maybe an unconventional combo, boiled egg, bacon, cheese on pita, but who cares how it looks? It tastes great and will give us plenty of energy for exploring. But before we get off to exploring today, there's that little matter of the wheel bearing we discovered last night. As it turns out, the town of Healy is just about 11 miles north of the park entrance, and it has an auto parts store that will hopefully have the grease and everything we need. This is a pretty good sized store. We're encouraged. Healy's not a big town and this could have gone the other way. We're first going to buy some grease, a grease gun, and some hydraulic oil. Hopefully we can salvage the jack. So we're going to fill the jack up, try to prime it, and see if we can get it to work. Not having much luck though. Fortunately, they sell bottle jacks here too. Alright, mission accomplished in Healy. We were really lucky that the store had what we needed. So another pro tip, if you run into trouble near Denali, definitely check out the auto parts store in Healy. Now it's back to the campground, but the actual repair is going to have to wait until this afternoon. We have something else planned for today. Turns out that something else planned for today is one of the wildlife bus tours we booked way back, and ours is scheduled to depart pretty soon, so we need to head out for that now. Now, let me explain something about this particular tour bus. When we booked the campground online months ago, the website strongly suggested buying this tour, implying this was the only way to get past mile 15, where private cars have to stop. So we gladly shelled out $144 each. However, what they don't heavily advertise is the standard park transit bus system. Those are typically the green buses. Those transit buses run the same routes but offer much more flexibility. You can hop off anywhere along the road to explore and catch another bus later. Now, it is true this narrated bus tour has a professional guide, and ours was quite good with history and geology insights, and entertaining to boot. But honestly, unless you really value that constant narration, we'd recommend using the green transit buses to save a lot of money and gain flexibility. But just to be clear, despite the cost and flexibility differences, we genuinely enjoyed this narrated tour. We learned a lot, and having a knowledgeable guide point things out was definitely a valuable part of the experience. At mile 15, we get a ranger visit.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
To Denali National Park. Yay!
It's nice they stop so we can get out for a moment. These breaks are typically short though, 10 to 15 minutes, so you definitely can't wander too far from the bus. Dang's grabbing some photos of this incredible panorama during our stop. And look at this shot, we totally lucked out. Denali is fully visible, both peaks. We were actually told that only 5% of the visitors get to see both peaks so clearly. Heck, only 30% even get to see one of the peaks during their visit. So grateful for this beautiful weather and this incredibly rare view. Let's talk about the great one, Denali. That's its original Athabascan name, and the name overwhelmingly used here in Alaska. At 20,310 feet, it's North America's highest peak, with an incredible 18,000-foot rise from its base. And that huge vertical rise makes Denali taller base to peak than Everest. While Everest has the higher elevation, Denali's massive rise from its base makes it the tallest mountain entirely on land. And you really have to see it in person to fully comprehend that. A tip for boarding the bus at the depot: line up near the front in order to grab a window seat. Taking another quick stop here, our driver was just explaining the Pretty Rocks landslide situation that closes the road ahead. While the area has been sliding slowly for a long time, it really sped up recently, likely due to the thawing permafrost. It's a continuous slide, not a one-time event. It accelerated from inches per year to inches per day, ultimately reaching over a ½ inch per hour in 2021 when the road had to be closed for safety. Let's go see what Dang is capturing. And what a view! We're looking out across the vast tundra to the majestic peaks of the Alaska Range, a truly remarkable landscape of mountains, glaciers, and open wilderness. Looking out over the tundra, it might seem sparse, but it's teeming with life adapted to the cold, wind, and short summers. Hardy dwarf plants hug the ground, surviving on thin soil over frozen earth, supporting animals like caribou and grizzlies. And of course, ptarmigans. They have mottled brown feathers like this during the summer, but turn completely white for camouflage in the winter. Now, as we relax on the drive back to the terminal, we pass another bus heading out. They run these tours throughout the day, and while we did see some wildlife on this trip, it's often said that taking a later bus, putting you out here towards dusk, might improve your odds of encountering wildlife. Honestly though, even without guaranteed wildlife, the bus ride itself is spectacular, just soaking in all this majestic landscape. It's definitely been quite a tour. Okay, we're back at the depot, which means it's time to face reality again. Yep, that wheel bearing issue is still waiting for us back at the campsite. I'd honestly managed to completely put it out of my mind during that incredible tour. So here's the plan. I'm going to pull the outer bearing first, since that's easy to access, and inspect it along with a spindle. The outer bearing looks fine. And the spindle looks fine too. So I'm just going to repack the outer bearing and fill the cavity with grease. Using my trusty new grease gun, now I have one to leave in the truck. And the exiting grease doesn't look too horrible either. Alright, good news as we put this wheel back together. We keep spare bearings on hand, but thankfully the inspection looked okay, so they weren't needed here today. Definitely relieved we don't have to tackle that bigger job right here. Well, that's been quite a day, and now we're ready to sit down to a nice meal. You might remember we picked up some collard greens at the You Pick Vegetable Farm in Palmer. Now we're going to cook those up tonight and serve them with a ham steak. We'll cheat a bit and use some chicken base. And we'll give the stems a head start before adding the leaves. Now let's let that simmer away while we work on the ham. Is it gonna fit? No problem. Now leave us a comment and tell us, who do you think gets the rice and who gets the potatoes? Well, we really enjoyed having you on this trip with us, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It helps us continue making content like this. Thanks for watching.